everyone, welcome to this Photoshop tutorial for artists. Today I want to show you how to use a PSD mockup file that you can find in many places all over the web and insert your art into it for a beautiful mockup that you can then use on either social media or on your website. So the first thing that I've done is I found this free mockup. I like to go to mockup.co, and through that website, which is right here, I don't know why it's not loading. There we go. So through mockup.co, I found this mockup, which took me to anthonyboyd.graphics, which is where I found this mockup. And so when you're looking at mockups at these websites, you'll often see a description of it that includes something like layers, smart objects, or smart layers with smart filters, blah, 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 things like that. You don't have to worry about smart filters, but smart objects or smart layers is just what the layers that you can individually change within a file are called. So let me explain to you what I mean. So I downloaded the mockup, the PSD file, and I opened it up in Photoshop. So when you open up a PSD mockup in Photoshop, you'll often have the whatever is making up the mockup, like the wall, the frame. In this case, we have a reflection here that the designer added, and each designer is different in how they organize their files, their layers. So here, this designer, they just put everything that you don't need to worry about in a group by itself. He named it stuff, and you don't even have to worry about it. If you're curious about how this PSD is made up, you can click on the arrow here and see all the other layers, and click on the eye to make it visible and invisible, just if you're curious to see how this PSD is made up. But you don't have to worry about that. The only thing that you have to worry about when you want to insert your art into a PSD mockup with smart layers is the smart layer. And the way that you know that it's a smart layer is because the layer, which this designer has named poster, has this little icon here above the layer thumbnail. Now, right now it's invisible because you don't see the eye, and if I click here and make it visible, well, basically it's just black. You know, it's going to go on top of everything else. So what I'm going to do to open up the smart object is I'm going to, so basically we have this within the rest of the file that you can change independently, which is really great because the designer already has kind of a little bit of perspective on this piece and the reflection. So all now you need to do is go into the actual poster and replace it with your art. So what I'm going to do is double click on the layer thumbnail anywhere within the layer thumbnail here. Make sure you're double clicking here and not here or here, because here or here will open different dialogues that you don't need. So I'm going to double click here, and it's thinking, and it just opened the actual poster. So now that that's open, I'm going to go over to my art, which is this California pattern piece. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the move tool right here, and I'm going to click, and I'm going to drag onto the name of the smart object that we opened. All smart objects have the file type PSB. Don't worry about that too much, but you know that when you have this open, the PSB is where you want to put your art. All right, so I'm still holding down on my cursor on my mouse, and I'm going to drag down now into the piece. And now you see that the cursor has a plus next to it, which means that you're going to be adding in the other file that you are dragging right now. So I'm going to let go. Yes, that's fine. If it gives you this, say yes, it doesn't matter. If it doesn't, great. Thinking. So my file is much, much bigger than the PSB than the Smart Object file, which is okay. I'm just going to go here into Image, or sorry, I'm going to go into Edit and go into Free Transform. You can also do Control T, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and drag, and I'm going to make it, I'm going to hold down Shift and drag the corner to resize proportionally. And so I'm just going to do this until I have the size correct. And sometimes your art might not be the exact same proportions as the file, as the Smart Object, and that's fine. In my case, I don't mind cutting off a little tiny bit of the sides right here. Still has the same effect. All right, and we're going to press Enter. Thinking. All right, so now this is what the Smart Object looks like. Once we have our art in the Smart Object, we're going to save it. So we're going to go here to File and Save. Saving. It's taking a little while, big files. Now it says that it's updating your Smart Object, which is perfect, because what it's doing is updating the mockup, the PSD file that you originally downloaded. It's now updating whatever was in that smart layer. And now if you go back to that mockup, ta-da! Automatically, without you having to go back and do anything to this file, you have your art in this area where the smart layer is. And it's awesome because you don't have to deal with making your art fit proportionally, I mean, with the perspective. And I mean, in this case, you're not really seeing the, what's it called? The reflection, you're not really seeing it. I'm not sure. Or actually, you are. So there you go. It's not really noticeable because most of this piece is white. And yeah, so that is how you would insert your art into a PSD file in Photoshop using smart layers. You're just going to open your art, open this PSD you downloaded, double click here to get into your Smart Object, which is here, your PSB file. Put in your art, make it look however you want it to look within the frame, and then just save it, and your PSD will automatically update. And that is it. I hope this was useful for you and that it helps you in your art business. I'm Liat. You can find me at instagram.com/LIATNOTEN and at the same name, .com, which is my website. And I will see you back here next time. Bye. Thanks for watching.